that's how I thought I needed to live. I never showed weakness. I never complained about anything.
What you were dealing with is a lot.
Smiling on the outside, but the truth was that on the inside, I felt an immense amount of overwhelm a lot.
It's not just a story relevant to you. I think it's so many people. I'm even shaking my head as I'm listening to you.
And then making Aliyah just brought that all to surface. Boom.
I want to go back, okay, and feel free to share whatever you feel comfortable sharing. But if you could just tell me a little bit about what you were doing before Harvest came along. And I guess what I care about the most is kind of the pain points that you were experiencing and, what that was like for you.
So, yeah, it's a great question. I think, you've spent X amount of years in this world and you really think you know everything. I spent, the last 40 years of my life as a very well-to-do businessman who had built my own company in at a young age, just coming straight out of university. And I thought I had everything made. And inside, behind the scenes, being a man who was a husband and a father and a business owner and a community member and a Baal Tshuva and all these massive responsibilities that I had, I always showed up front that everything was just perfect. I was on top of everything. I was the ideal husband, the perfect father, the businessman of businessmen. I just had it all, perfectly structured, smiling on the outside. But the truth was that on the inside, I felt an immense amount of overwhelm a lot. And the fact that I did it silently obviously made it harder. I had thank God I wouldn't change anything. I had a very strong father figure in my life. My father had fought in two immense wars in Israel, helping, create the Israel that I'm living in now. And he never ever showed weakness. My father was a man that was all about showing strength, because if you open elements of weakness, that will be the end of you. It will be your demise. And that's how I grew up, and that's how I thought I needed to live. I never showed weakness. I never complained about anything. But I felt overwhelmed with blessing, thank God. But yeah, I wasn't sure if I was on top of my marriage. I wasn't sure if I was bringing up my kids in the right way. I wasn't sure that I was. I often had, imposter syndrome within my business. I felt overwhelmed. A lot of the time I felt overwhelmed, and I really did nothing about it because I felt that it was a sign of weakness. So I pushed it down somewhere deep inside my stomach, and then making Aliyah just brought that all to surface. Boom. All exploded. There was no way of keeping all of that contained as I had done. And to start to deal with a lot of emotions, a lot of things when things, you really only have it all together until you don't. Until that one big test comes that's able to really extract from you where you're truly holding. And at first it was the most frightening experience ever. And then, like I say, Hashem in all his kindness brought to the forefront Harvest, and I immediately went into a world of building and structure and a positive way of thinking, and immediately realizing that I'm definitely not alone. If anything, I'm quite the norm. And that overwhelm, started to change. I started to feel more in control. I think it's very much a work in progress, but I'm in the process of moving from overwhelm to self-control.
Now let me ask you, before Harvest, okay, what you were dealing with is a lot. Then to try and find solutions, but even just to hold it all is not an easy thing. My question to you is, did you find any other solutions? Did you try certain things and it didn't work? I mean, tell me that before Harvest came along, here you are living with all this stuff that you're trying to manage. Was there anyone to turn to? Were there any programs that worked? Were there any methods that you tapped into?
So superficially, on a surface level, I'd say no. I've always been in a position to think that for sure therapy was, only for people that are not well, and that it was a massive sign of weakness. Coaching again would highlight that I needed help. I'm a man. I can do everything alone. I don't need anyone to coach me. I know everything, you know. So no, I didn't reach out. I didn't express that I was struggling. I try to deal with a lot of it alone. I try to deal with a lot, and even that, I'm saying keeping things like that from my wife, my friends, my community, um, even my rabbonim. I think, involved in a lot of learning, but not a lot of life learning.
Hmm.
And it's the first time in my life, in my 40s, that I realized that not only is therapy, coaching, just having a support structure not a weakness, it's the absolute opposite. It's the first sign of strength. So I didn't know that until now.
Hmm. Got it. Beautiful. Okay. So I want to shift here. Okay. And again, I think what you're experiencing is not just a story relevant to you. I think it's so many people. I'm even shaking my head as I'm listening to you. But I want to ask you like this. Let's shift here, okay? So like along came this thing now called Harvest, and like why was it so appealing to you?
So the first aspect was who it came through. It was brought forward to me by many members of the team that I actually know personally. Some I know more than others. Some I've actually learned with for a huge portion of my life, and there was a massive trust me factor. These are people that are in their personal capacity exceptional human beings that are obsessed with self growth and bettering oneself. Um, and when they came to me first, there was I trusted them. They came forward with something that they said would be immensely helpful, especially going through such a shift, such a life shift. And I was struggling. Like I say, most of the things that I was able to contain for most of my life came pouring out. And these people, I mentioned a few names: Harel Salko, Sean Crook. These people I hold on a very high regard came forward to me and told me that they have an amazing teacher, and that the program was really going to give me structure. It was going to be able to help me take control of my life and really manage that overwhelm and use Torah wisdom, which I had, but not from an executable perspective. I've been learning Torah. I've been a Baal Tshuva for almost 15 years now, and I know the theory, but it was the first time that this Torah wisdom was brought into a practical way that I could start to implement into my life and into my relationships. And I said, if not now, when?
I love
And
it.
and and yeah, that's what brought me in.
Amazing, amazing. And tell me like this. Tell me, so you joined the program, okay? Tell me what that like initial kind of entrance into the program was like for you. Were you skeptical? Were you blown away? Were you maybe even frustrated because hey, this is what I didn't sign up for this?
So yeah, definitely skeptical in the beginning. Like I say, my whole view on self-help was for the weak and for the damaged. So definitely critical. I definitely came in with certain levels of expectation. I had my guard up as if, I'm here because I'm participating, but I don't really need this. And I'd probably say the first two sessions, I was quite held back. And then it started to shift on two different levels. One, just seeing the amazing guys that I was working with, other people just like me from all over the world, from one side of the globe to the other side of the globe, and really just being so comfortable to show themselves vulnerable, which I hadn't seen before, was so okay with. And a lot of these guys had already been in programs of self-help, so they were a lot more accustomed to it. And I could just see that immense relief when they were just coming into the space and sharing and wanting. And that was the first thing. I wanted what they wanted. I wanted to also grow it. It really looked so appealing. And then the next level was once I started to apply the early systems that I started learning from the beginning, and I can tell you straight away, just the concept of win seeking. Just this idea of stopping to focus, which is what I was always doing, as into what was not working, what wasn't going right, the next catastrophe that was waiting for me around the corner that I was always preparing for and always investing so much emotional output towards, which often never came. Most of the time it never came, to just focusing on what's great and all these immense amount of things I have to be grateful for. And I found when I was in a positive state of mind, I could think clearly. And the steps that I then took after that were much clearer and much more logical compared to that overwhelmed state of half the decisions I made, half the time in how I reacted to the people closest to me. It was the wrong reaction. And I realized in that state of overwhelm, I couldn't think straight. So I immediately started to find myself thinking clearer, being in a stronger positive mindset, and then just setting goals. This whole new way of putting in place this ideal state that I dream of. And everybody has these dreams. And they just remain dreams. But then slowly plotting quite a practical, deliberate route to that dream was the first time in my life that I started to think, I think I might just get there. I think I'm en route to living the life I've always wanted to live, which somewhere in the back of my mind, I just assumed remains a dream. You live and you survive and you do what you need to do and you get the job done. That's that soldier mentality versus this deliberate living of, I want to enjoy everything. I want to enjoy myself. It was the first time that I'd looked at self-love. I mean, self-love was never even in my dictionary. It's like that to me was selfish, and learning to love myself and to give to myself so that I can give to others. All these things within the first 3 workshops, I was hooked.
Wow. And let me ask you, a lot of, one of, I think, the most appealing parts of being involved in a program like this is the world of accountability. And can you just speak a little bit about how you felt that the accountability was provided for you and how that changed you actually being able to implement some of the ideas that you were working on?
I think for sure accountability is everything. I think knowing that there's a bigger picture that you're a part of and everybody's doing their bit to build. I felt an achrayus. I felt like a responsibility to show up, and that was big. And like I say to you, there was an immediate connection, and it's crazy now having delved so much deeper into the program, such a admiration and real love that I have for the other chevra, the other guys that are on this workshop with me, and some of them I've never met, and please God, I get a chance to meet them. They're all over the world. I felt responsible. I felt they were doing the work. I needed to do the work. We've both shown up, and but from a good place. I felt it from a perspective of not, have you done your homework? Why haven't you done your homework? You're not going to. That was never even a question. It was from a place of, I just saw how much these fellow men were putting in to just give the best of themselves, and I just wanted to do the same. And the more I saw that, the more I wanted to do that, and it's driven me, and it's because it's hard. I lose momentum, I lose energy. Life outside of the workshops starts to get the better of me, and it's knowing those guys and the conversations that we share in our public, communal WhatsApp groups, and it's those conversations that say, no, you got to come back. You got to pitch up. You got to do the work. It's continuous. It's consistent. So yeah, for sure, the accountability is a huge factor.
Beautiful. And let me kind of take you to, I think, which is important. Okay, so you started Harvest, and here we are, deep into it. Are there places where you can see kind of like real tangible changes that have happened from point A to point B?
I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, the truth is, over the workshops that I've done over this past year, I have changed drastically. I would call it a drastic change. I was a person that first and foremost had a negative alignment to coaching, therapy, or help in total. And that, like I say, that has completely shifted in me. And I have a drive to want to help others because I'm so immensely grateful for the help that I've received. I found myself in a really consistent, positive mind state of where I'm thinking clearly. And I found myself, I was a very, very angry person. I would lose my temper quickly. And that, I think, was always the stem of that overwhelm. I would react instead of calmly thinking and then allowing, a measured response. Once I started really taking the time to look at my wins, being somebody that I really seek wins, I really try to seek all the things that are going right, I have a much clearer way of thinking. I don't get as angry. I'm able to manage and measure my emotions. And that's just changed like how I treat myself, how I treat my loved ones, how I treat my work, how I treat my community, how I treat the difficult moments when they arise. And for sure, that's the one biggest shift in my change. I am calmer. I am more controlled, more measured, more positive. And I would say the next big thing is that I'm goal orientated. I have a very deliberate, structured way of planning, taking small steps, plugging it into my calendar, ticking them off when they're done, and moving forward to the next, and having a very deliberate, structured, systematic, practical way of living my days, which are just as chaotic as they were before harvest, but now they are within structure. They are goal orientated. I have systems in place, and the world out there continues to go crazy. My world remains focused, structured, and completely calm. Menuchat nefesh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Awesome. Really awesome. Let me ask you, was there anything that like you totally weren't expecting to happen, like an extra bonus or something along the lines when when you've kind of been in the system that like you never saw that coming?
Wow, there's so many. I mean, I would speak about one of the most recent workshops that I went through now, which was the lessons on superpowers. Now that was a complete unforeseen because so much of the beginning of the program was helping me become a structured, goal-orientated human being that was living on positivity, and that was what I really felt that the program would be about. And then out of nowhere comes a workshop that highlights for me a way of life that, and I say I've lived with myself for 42 years, and I'm realizing how little I know about myself because I've never asked myself specific questions like the Harvest program has asked me to ask. And coming to a point of where I'm like, what am I good at? I've never asked myself that. And not only that, what do I love doing? And now if I can find something that I'm good at and I love doing it, then I can start to live a life of where I'm spending so much of my time doing things that I love, that I'm passionate about, that I'm good at, that fill my tank, that fill my energy levels, and be able to earn a parnosa. I've never thought of living like that. I thought you do what needs to get done. You're a man, you're a father, you're a husband. You go out. You don't get the fluffy choices of working what you like. That's not your choice. Bring home, bring home the macon, and feed your family. And the truth is, wow. I mean, that completely blew me away because now I'm starting to think about my life completely differently. I'm starting to think about I can live a beautiful life. I want and will live a beautiful life.
Whoa. Unbelievable.
Thank God.
Remarkable. Okay. Wow, really awesome. Let me kind of wrap things up and kind of go in the direction. People out there are thinking about it, not sure what to do. trying to get more information, any advice you would give someone who's thinking about joining one of our cohorts? They are not sure whether they should, throw themselves in or not. Any advice of what you would say?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing that I would say is if they haven't already, they need to change their perspective on support and help and coaching. I think even if you're the best coach in the world, everybody needs help. Everybody needs support. I think this deficient hero concept of I'm going to do everything I save others. I don't need to be saved. That I would scream out to most men out there. That doesn't make you a hero. You need help. You need support. You need coaching. Everybody needs coaching. I think the biggest realization for me wasn't that people like Lionel Messi, who's a phenomenal footballer, he doesn't need his coach to teach him how to play football. He's great at that. He needs a coach to ensure that he's showing up and performing at his best. Because when we're left to ourselves, we're often not very nice to ourselves, and we can be biased and not hold ourselves accountable. And I would scream out to other men that stop doing that, seek out support. And the beauty of Harvest for me is it gave me a sense of great coaching, but still within, being a frum Jewish man gave me the Torah wisdom aspect, which, like I say, I knew the theory, I just didn't know how to apply it into my day-to-day life. So it gave me that great coaching with systems that were not complicated. These were practical. I could plug them in immediately, and a great group of men, literally just like me, experiencing what I'm experiencing. And I would plea that other men out there look for programs like Harvest. If not Harvest itself, I would highly recommend it, for all the reasons that I've mentioned up until now. But just, it's okay. It's okay to get support. It's okay to get help. It's okay to get coaching. It's okay to want to be the best version of yourself and not know how to do that, and to seek the right support to get there, because we all deserve to live that ideal state. It's the first time, and I daven that Hashem give me another 60, 70 years. But I want to start living that ideal state. I don't want to dream about it anymore. I want to live it. I want to live it in all the relationships of my life. I want to live it within work, which is a big portion of my life. I want to live it in every aspect. I want to live with true menachat nefesh, and not because I've locked myself in some padded room, but because I'm living within the chaos of life. I'm living but I'm living with systems, structures, support groups, teachers, and methodologies and systems and tools that just really make it doable, make living the blissful, beautiful life we all deserve to live doable. And I would plead to everyone out there to reach out, to do that, to find something that fits within what they can do, live their best life. They deserve it. The world deserves it.
Beautiful. Yoni, I want to before I just thank you for sharing, I just want to just thank you for being vulnerable and opening up and just allowing people to really hear what was going on, what is going on now. And it's amazing to see like what you've done in this short period of time, and just how you are pushing your life to the next level. And awesome, inspiring, and just only wishing you, just continued hatzlacha, and just for things to continue to go in the right direction. And looking forward to, obviously, you and I hanging out that much more. But really awesome. So just thank you so much. And I really appreciate you being here and just sharing this information.
Amen.
And to all those who found this conversation was relevant to them, it speaks to similar ideas of what, you're going through, living this life where we are trying to flourish in all parts of our life, our work, our personal endeavors, community, spiritual health. It's a lot. And to do that and do it well, it can happen. And when you set up the right tools and the right structures, it's amazing to see just what it can really do to allow people to, like Yoni said, live their ideal life. So if this conversation resonated for you, you want more information about Harvest and the work that we do, so click on all the links that we have for you. We have our website, our diagnostic tool, an invitation to have a conversation with one of us to speak more about the program, and come join our endeavor to really give Jewish men the life and the existence that they so very deserve. Okay, thank you all so much, and looking forward to seeing all of you soon.
Thank you, Rob.